up, everybody? It's your boy Jay, and welcome to another episode of The Rose Show. And today, I've got a good one planned for you with my good friend Joe Christie. It's always a good time to talk to him. Joe's one of my favorite people I've met in this industry, and I'm really excited to get this out there so you guys can have a chance to see the person that I know behind the camera. Now, before we get started, there is no rant today. However, I do want to say one thing before we get going, because it was a important milestone in my life that I need to address that happened 10 years ago. So I'm going to bring up an image here real quick, and let's talk about this. So what you're looking at right now is an image of a text I got from somebody 10 years ago who wanted me to hang out. Now, the importance of this text message is this ended up turning into a 10-year-long relationship. The person that was in this message is now my wife. Her name is Leah. She had sent me this message, and I had just gotten off work. I think I worked like 10 or 12 hours that day. I really wasn't sure if I wanted to do anything, but I'd had a crush on her for a really long time before this. So I thought, you know what? If this is going to happen, this is my only shot to do it. So I ended up going out with everybody, and we had a late night at a bar later on that night. Alcohol was involved, and I won't get into much more after that. But shortly after this message was sent to me and we hung out this night, we started dating about a month later, and now 10 years later, we're still together. And she is one of the best things that ever happened to me. I don't give that kind of a praise out to most anybody. So for me to be able to say that publicly, you know, I have to mean it. So had it not been for that message, I don't know where I'd be right now. So I just wanted to say thank you to my wife for sending me that message and asking me to come hang out with her, because it turned into a decade long friendship and relationship. And I say friendship because she really is my best friend. So I love you, Leah Beth. Couldn't imagine life without you. So enough with the mushy stuff. Let's go ahead and get down to business. Real quick, a word from my sponsor, and then we're going to get into episode 9 with my homie, Joe Christie. Let's do it. All right, everybody, it's time to stop and let you know about today's sponsor of the show, Crazy Martin's in Piqua, Ohio, one of my favorite places in the entire world to go to. Crazy Martin's has provided their customers with quality products for over 20 years, from ashtrays to water pipes and everything in between. Stop in, check out their selection, and of course, check out their pinball machines. With over 20 pins to choose from, there is something for everyone. Crazy since 1996. I don't just say this about every place. I love going to Crazy Martin's. I've always loved going to Crazy Martin's ever since I was of age to go to Crazy Martin's. It's one of my favorite places in the entire world. Me and my wife go there almost every Sunday to play pinball machines. It is one of the funnest spots in Ohio you could possibly find. It is in Piqua, Ohio. Check out their website at www.crazymartins.com. Hello, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Rose Show. Now look, okay, as the music fades here, this is normally the point in time when I introduce my guests, but before I do that, we're going to take just a tiny little detour. See, we're on episode 9 right now, episode 9, so it's time to look a little bit into how the sauce is made, right? So I record these episodes usually a couple months beforehand, just because I don't like having to cancel. One of the worst things in the world is to promote a guest, and you're so excited for your guest and something happens. So I don't promote a show on this show until I know for sure it's already done and recorded and everything. So I normally record episodes about 2 months in advance. So right now we're at December 17th, it is, as we're recording this episode right now. And I just had to sit through one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen out of a football team in the Tennessee Titans, where they basically just allowed the Texans to walk right through the line. Now, why am I saying this? And if any, at this point, I think we're already past the Super Bowl by the time you're watching this, but it's not, right now is the present for us here in this moment. So I bring all this up to say I'm going to do something I've never done before on this show because I'm stressed out. If you can't tell already, I'm drinking tonight. So we're just talking with my boy, Joe Christie. He's somebody who's actually, I see he is too. But see, you got something to celebrate with that can, bro. You got something to celebrate with that can because this is the same weekend that the Colts spanked the Steelers. I'm sorry if you're a Steelers fan watching this, but that was a disaster. But anyway, so formal introduction now that we've gotten all that out of the way. This dude is a guy that I met working through the industry of music. One of my favorite dudes that I've met since I've been doing it this time. One of the coolest, both him and his wife. I love running into him every time. One of the few people that I will go out of my way to make sure I give a hug. Just a real down to earth guy who's got a great resume of stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute, but some of the most top tier work in his field, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why I wanted him on this episode is because he does so much fun shit that I wish I had the nerve to be in crowds to do, but can't because I'm too much of a homebody. It is Joe Christie of In the Pit Promotions. My friend, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I am doing very well. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So here we're just gonna go ahead and start at the beginning. Why don't you go ahead? Oh, which by the way, let me go ahead and mention something real fast. You see that logo in the top right side of your screen? This man actually took that picture. Fun fact. But why don't we go ahead and start off with your background and what kind of got you into some of the things that you're into?
I've been in music my entire life. Growing up, parents were had their different types of music that they listened to, very different music. My dad was born in 45, my mom was born in 61, so they had two different backgrounds with music. I grew up in the 90s, so I loved music. I wasn't really particularly good at doing anything musically, you know what I mean? So the photography thing popped up when I got linked up with the Network 317. They're a promotional website here in Indianapolis. I was writing album reviews for him, and he liked my writing so much that he asked if I wanted to start working the media side of music, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. And the first show I ever done was Mayhem Fest 2012. And he pretty much just threw me to the wolves. Like, he gets off on people like fanboying or fangirling out in front of like their favorite, musicians and stuff. So he was trying to get that on film, but it didn't happen. Your boy was out there knocking things out left and right. These musicians, I followed their music, followed their careers. I had good questions lined up for them, grabbed a lot of really good content. And then he put a camera in my hand and was like, hey, go get some photos, see how you do. And since then, man, I just took off with it.
Nice. So was photography something that was ever in your background before that then? Because it
No.
seems like that, yeah, that's something that it seems like that's kind of a theme is you just kind of nobody really ever I mean, granted, maybe back in the days when high school still had film development as a class, maybe, but not
Mm-hmm.
so much these days. It's completely different scheme. I think people these days get into photography almost on accident, which it kind of sounds like what happened to you is that the exact same way.
Nowadays, everybody can be a photographer. You got
Right.
cameras in your phones that are better than some of the cameras that photographers spend thousands and thousands of dollars on. So, it's accessible to everybody. It's just, you know, I don't know. The first show that I started taking photos at and noticed that I was capturing some like really good images. I'm like, this is awesome. And plus it's kind of like documenting history a little bit to me,
Yeah.
because I can look back on shows I done in 2015 and like, man, this is really dope. This is really cool. And this is probably like the last time this band came through here, and I was there to document that. So that's pretty cool. Be a part of that as well. So
So you are kind of a fan of everything. You're not necessarily like, yes, you are a fan of music. You have a pretty impressive old school video game collection as well, don't you?
yeah. I've you know, thinned out the collection here lately just because there was just so much. I didn't really need to have all this, but yeah, I've been gaming since I was a little kid, and that's just something that's always it's my escape from reality. You have a hard day, I can throw on a game and be lost in that for hours. So, and that's just always been something I've gone to since I was little. Playing Mario on NES with my grandma. And then, yeah, and I'm not big on like returning thing, like trading in games and stuff like that, because they never gave you anything for them. So I'm like, fuck it. Why am I spending $60 on this game and then trading it in for 10, 15 later on? Then I might as well just keep it. And then a lot of the games that I've kept, like they started going up in price. And I'm like, this is crazy. And right when I think it was when COVID hit, that big boom, that's when the video game prices, hobby in general, anything hobby, skyrocketed. So it's cool going into these retro video game stores and like, oh, I got that. How much is that now? Dang, $120 for that? Nice.
Yeah. How many would you say that you have now?
I think I went down from 700 and some odd, and I'm down to, I think, 3. And I'm still trying to lower that number a little bit. Just like, what do I really need to keep around? And plus with technology now, like, there's a lot of games that I kept just because I couldn't, play them on certain, like the PS5. I can't play all my old school games on a PS5. So I have to keep, certain systems around. Well, like the Switch, I can play a lot of them Mario games on my Switch now, and I have to have all these Mario games laying around, taking up space and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say right now, probably around 3. And I'm trying to get that down a little bit lower. I'm trying to because now wrestling figures are now my big fucking addiction right now. So I can't be going hog wild on my collections.
Yeah, I hear it. As I sit behind Undertaker Ultimate Edition that Lee Carver got me for my birthday one year.
Yeah,
yeah, I totally get it.
I love them Ultimates, man. I try to get my hands on any one of them that I can.
Oh yeah, they're definitely sick. All right, well, let's go ahead and go into the next phase then. So you got your quote unquote tryout, basically. You passed it, obviously, with flying colors. How did you start getting to the point where, when I met you, it was at Odd Bodies in Dayton, Ohio. You were just, coming to do photography for I think it was a Twisted show. I'm not sure. Hell, it was 8 years ago, but I would probably assume that was it. Well, how did you get to a point where you were like, okay, I'm going to go around the country and take shots? Because you do this all independently. So how did you get to that point where you were like, I'm just going to go out and travel. I'm going to go do what I love, even if it's outside of the state?
When I first started getting into it, the guy that I was working for would set me up with certain shows, certain events needed photography. And he'd be like, hey, we'd come in there, take care of that. And he would get me to go into certain places. And it got to a point to where I started just doing that on my own, just throwing my name in the hat. So, people looking for this or looking for that. Hey, I'm available. I can get this done, and I gave them good rates too. I wasn't busting people's heads like, oh, $1,000 for me to come in here and do this and do that. I'm sitting them just a couple $100 because I'm green. I'm new. I'm nobody in this game right now. Nobody's ever heard of me. They don't know what type of work I can bring to them. So who am I to come in here and just start charging these people astronomical amounts of money? Because you won't go nowhere with that. So I started hitting up a lot of local shows, and hey, these guys would throw me a couple bucks. I take their photos. They liked them. They shared them. And it just started picking up from there to where I was meeting these artists, talking with them, and they were enjoying my work, very thankful for what I was doing. And then they would just contact me like, hey, we're going to be at this event. Can you make it? Can we make this happen? And I would show up, knock things out, and kept that relationship going with these people throughout all these years. If I tell them I'm going to do something, I do it. And that kind of leads to, long-term relationships with some of these people.
Yeah. That is a very good point that I think a lot of people don't realize. One of the biggest bridges that you can burn is not holding your commitments. People remember that forever. I mean, there's guys that when I started promoting shows, I would not book from shows 4 to 5 years prior because I knew how important these shows were, and I couldn't really. They've bailed on me before in situations, so I'm not going to give them an opportunity to. Like the first Twisted show, I had to have a contest for openers. It wasn't because I didn't think that somebody was better than the other, or I was trying to be political. No, I wanted to do this contest to see, okay, who do I have in front of me that I know I'm going to be able to make sure this show sells out. Because I had people that actually weren't in the contest that I would have more rather had on that first Twisted show because the talent was there, but they didn't at least have the commitment to go through with the contest, basically. So that's a very it's people might think it's a minute detail, making sure that you follow through on your commitments when the music scene in any form of entertainment
Yeah,
at all.
anything that you do really, because your words you bond, and if you tell a bunch of people I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then you don't show up and do X, Y, and Z, hey, the next time X, Y, and Z pops up, I got you. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're going to go a different route.
What's more of the challenges between going to a place like an Odd Bodies where it's just a 500 capacity venue and all there is a guardrail and a stage, as opposed to going to a stadium or a bigger production? What is the challenges in between doing both?
The bigger productions, of course, are bigger productions. There's usually a photo pit where there's a section, the guardrail, there's a section, and then there's a stage where photographers can be at, not bothered by the crowd at all. And you get 3 songs up front. You take your first 3 songs, get your photos, get out of there. Now, for something like Odd Bodies that doesn't really have, like a photo pit or anything, you're just in the crowd, fighting the crowd. You just have to work with it. I came up in a heavy metal community, so I was taking photos in mosh pits and stuff like that. So working a crowd and taking photos wasn't that big. And plus, I'm a big dude, I'm tall, got long arms. That also works to my advantage as well. If I was 5'1", with itty bitty little arms it probably wouldn't work out at all. But I am a bigger dude. I do have a long wingspan. I can put my camera up pretty high in angles that, other photographers really can't. So, I kind of use them angles to my advantage as best I can. But bigger like Live Nation shows, they pretty much have a section for you to take your photos in. And I think the last big Live Nation event I went to was when Lamb of God came to town with Kill Switch. And that photo pit was huge. It was huge. It was probably the biggest photo pit, like me and you and probably 5 other big guys could have danced in there. And like, there's plenty of room versus going to a place like the Emerson that doesn't have a photo pit. It's just the crowd right up against the stage. And, you're cool when you're got your hands up taking photos, but when a mosh pit breaks out and somebody hits you, I think it was an Axmas at the Thompson House. I'm taking photos and the mosh pit breaks out behind me. I get hit, and it happened so quick that when I like open my eyes back up to like, where am I? I'm on stage with the boys, like as they're performing, they're helping me up. I'm like, what the fuck? And everybody kind of like chilled down after that because they're like, damn, we just knocked the photographer from the crowd onto the fucking stage just because it was a small stage. I tripped right up there. Boom, I'm picking myself up, and there's them picking me up off the stage to help me back into the crowd. It was pretty wild, but yeah, bigger venues, they pretty much give the photographers, a spot to do their work, but they're very, very picky on, who they let in there. And then on top of that, once you're in there, they're very strict on what you do. 3 songs up front, no video, no flash. You get your 3 songs, get out of the way. We was told 5 songs at one show. I think it was Devil Driver. The PR told all the photographers, you guys got 5 songs. And we're all kind of looking at each other like, 5 songs? It's always been 3. Always been. But cool, 5. We'll take 5.
Right.
So we're up there. 3 songs goes by. Dez gets pissed. He's like, hey, get the fuck out of here. You photographers, you get 3 songs. And everybody's standing there. I'm like, well, they told us 5. He's like, I don't give a fuck what they told you. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, all right, shit. And he just fucking took off. But yeah, some of them, they don't care. Like Twisted, I can take photos of them all night long. But I try not to be in anybody's way because, it's cool that I get the privilege to go up there and take the photos and do that, but there's a lot of people that are behind me that paid hard-earned money to be up there, up close. I'm a big dude. I'm tall. I know that. I'll get my 3 songs, and then I'll just move off to the side because I don't want anybody to have to watch a show behind me. That would suck.
That's totally understandable. Yep. You've done a WWE event before.
Yeah.
I know you've at least done one, an NXT. What was the difference between doing something like that as opposed to any concert?
When I first showed up to the venue, now I've been to that venue multiple times for concerts, music concerts. It's my first time. I didn't even know if I was going to go to this. I think I asked people on Facebook. I'm like, hey, they sent me an invite to come, take photos of this. I didn't even really know what the NXT brand was. I'm like, should I go to this? And everybody was like, fuck yeah, you should go to this. Yeah, you need to be there. Get up in there. Tell them yes, you'll be there. And I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it, I'll do it. I go there. I'm at the box office getting my credentials, and they hand me a contract that I have to sign. Now, I've seen contracts before, like Stone Sour. I had to sign a contract for them, but it was just like a little 1 page, like, hey, when you come in here and take photos, you're not going to use these photos to make coffee mugs and t-shirts of our likenesses and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, right. Sure. Sign that up. No biggie. The WWE contract was like a stack of papers. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like reading through it, and the lady that handed it to me, I can see her like still standing there. And I'm like reading it and looking up. I'm like, I'm going to handle this. She's like, no, I'm paid to watch you read that. And I was like, excuse me? She's like, no, I'm ordered to watch you read that. Like, you can't just skim to the end of it and sign it. I won't let you in here. You have to read it.
She worked for the WWE?
I don't know if she worked for the WWE or she worked for the venue, but somebody told that woman before this man signs and comes in here, he has to read that, make sure he reads it. And she took her job very seriously. She was like, yeah, I have to sit here and watch you read that. So as I'm going through this, it's pretty much the WWE saying we own everything from the likenesses, looks, names, any of this, any of that. We own this, we own that. If you try to do this, we will do this and do this and do this and do this. Your family will be blackballed. You'll never have a penny to your name. We'll make sure that you're in debt for generations upon generations if you screw us over. And also, if anything happens to you, you get injured, that's your fault. It's on you. It's not our responsibility, blah, 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 blah. Just so much legal. I was like, and respect. I respect it. You know, it was a cool experience because I've never been through anything like that, but it was just a neat experience. So, and plus I got a cool story out of it. So signed it up. Now I was told I could take photos around the ring. My opinion of around the ring is around the squared circle, around the ring. So it's a house show. They got it all set up. I'm walking down to the ring, camera in hand, ready to go. I go through the little, the gated little area they have for the fans to the mat. And I go to open that up. This dude just grabs me up, fucking pushes me back. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And he's, doing his job, thinking I'm just a fan trying to, come in there. And I'm like, hey, I'm a photographer showing my pass. He's, I don't give a fuck. Stay the fuck out of my space. And I didn't know what his space meant. Like, I guess it's just lingo. He said, stay out of my space. You're not allowed up here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I need a production manager. Is there a production manager around here I can talk to? Because I'm told I can go here. This guy just throws me out of there, tells me to leave him the fuck alone. Where the fuck do I go to do this? Talk to a production manager. He apologizes, super nice and everything. He's like, hey, that guy's just doing his job. It's just people try to come up to the ring for whatever reason. I get it, but it was just intimidating. I did not expect somebody to grab me up and just toss me around like this. I'm a big dude. He tossed me around. So right. Talk to the production manager. Where can I be at? Where can I not be at? Just let me know what I can do so I can take these shots. So I was pretty much, I couldn't go inside like where they throw the guy out of the ring and they got the little mats out there. I couldn't be in that area. But outside of that area was all me. Just, try to make sure you're not in fans' way and so on and so forth. So cool. Went out to the car, grabbed some different lenses, came back in there, took some photos. They turned out really well. I was really surprised at how well they turned out. It was my first time shooting wrestling, and it was different because I'm shooting kind of far away, and I'd be trying to focus in on somebody, and then I'll go to move, and then all of a sudden my camera will focus in on the rope. I've got a lot of really good pictures of rope. But like the people behind the ropes, they're like all blurry and stuff. But it was a learning curve. Something, I was like, all right, next time around, I'll have a little better idea of what I'm going into. But it was pretty awesome. Pat McAfee was there. I got to see him after the show. I told him he was one of his all-time favorite Colt players. You're the greatest Colt ever. And he laughed at that. And he's like, oh, there's a guy that wears number 18. I think people think him highly of me. I was like, Peyton's cool, but he ain't jumping the canal cool like you are. And he got a big laugh out of that. So that made me feel good. And then I think Adam Page. I can't remember which Adam it was. Adam Cole, the small one, the small guy. He was there. Him and McAfee had like a big, thing going on. McAfee jumped in the ring, took his chair away from him. They ran around and stuff. It was pretty neat. And then the last match, I can't remember the guys' names, but they were everywhere. Like they weren't just in the ring or around the ring. They went all through the crowd. They were throwing trash cans at each other and shit like that. It was pretty cool. But it was definitely a different scenario than any concert that I've ever, because it was also real weird because when they came down from the entrance, everything's real bright. Everything's bright. I'm taking great photos. Snap, 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 snap. They get into the ring. Ding. Lights hit. And there's pretty much just a spotlight just right over top of the ring. I'm like, this is changing settings. I'm like, oh, fuck. This is fuck. All right. Now I'm ready to go. But yeah, super bright, super bright, super bright, dark spotlight. That was crazy.
Yeah, go out of your way if you're a wrestling fan to go on his photography page and find those shots, because we ended up using a couple for the Walmart site. I think that year at the end for our end of year contest. They're really good pictures. And actually, I still have a poster that you gave me from that event.
Yeah.
I don't have it hanging anywhere. It's actually locked up in Money in the Bank briefcase on my desk, sitting right in front of me.
Vaulted.
I don't. Yeah, it's vaulted. I don't keep it out because that, to me, that era. And for those that know, that would have been the era of Adam Cole and Undisputed Era, no pun intended. But that era was my favorite NXT era. Anybody that knows me from around that time frame knows that I was a huge Undisputed Era fan, which was Adam Cole's stable with Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. And that was a very, very good era of that show. And you took some fantastic shots. But yeah, I've still have that poster. It's just, it will never be on this wall unless if I got it like actually framed, because it's one of my favorite things actually anybody's ever given me, not just you. It was a good one. But yeah, check out
A
the
lot of
photos
them
if you haven't.
wrestlers in that event are now some of today's big players in WWE and AEW. Like it's because at first I wasn't going to go. I didn't know anything about it, and I thought it was like just the minor league of WWF. I'm like, maybe this is like crap, and then people were like, no, like this is a big thing. You need to go to this, and then I'm glad I went because I've been following it ever since.
Yeah, for sure. So wrestling was different. Have you done any like major sporting events or anything?
No, not really. I've gone to Pacer games and Colts games and been able to sneak my camera in there and get some decent shots like from my seats. But they really don't take any, independent photographers that I know of. Every time that I've tried to, get like let me on the sidelines for a Colts game or, Pacers game or something like that. If you're not one of the three people that they work with, they don't mess with you. And and one guy broke it down to me as like an insurance type thing. Like it's more for safety, as if you're not Indy Star, which is the paper here, the radio station, or ESPN. Yeah, we're not giving out just credentials to local photographers, which is, respectful, but I'm just going to have to, maneuver my way into one of those avenues one of these days. Like, hey, this is what I can do. Can y'all use me? Can y'all help me out? And see where that goes. That's what I'm hoping for 2024.
That makes sense too, because I think just recently we saw some photographer get kind of pummeled and taken out on a stretcher a couple weekends ago. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense that it would be more insurance related, because especially, man, basketball, if you're in the very front, they're landing on you. There's no guardrail.
And they don't know me, I could have a great resume and everything, but hell, at the end of the day, they really don't know me. I could be some psycho that can't stand LeBron James, get down there and then I just throw my camera at him and black his eye or something. Right. That would be horrible for fucking business. So I can understand why they just don't let, any random, local with a camera go, hey, can I take photos? Yeah, come on in. Nah, I just don't see. If you're not through these people that they already work with, nah, we're good. We got plenty of people to take photos of what we got going on. Appreciate it though.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of your more memorable events that you've done over the years, whether it be you just like the pictures more, or it was, I know you said you don't get starstruck, and I typically don't either, but even there's times where I'm just kind of looking up and I'm like, I can't believe this person is in front of me. Is there any specific shows? Let's say three. Is there three specific shows that have really stick out in your mind of being, real milestones for you in one way or the other?
One that comes to mind right immediately is Attack of the Ninjas at Kokomo, where Twisted first done like Lotus, and it was like the first time they've done Lotus, like just them three, and they came out in the opaque masks. I was up front taking photos, and Twisted and Blaze went off stage to do like a costume change, and then Winnegar was on the side of the stage. He saw me. He was like, Joe, get back here, come here. And he like rushed me backstage, and I'm like, what's going on? And as I'm standing there, he's like, hold on, they're about to come through. As I'm standing there, Paul, Jamie, and Blaze come down, and they're just like hurrying up, throwing off their clothes. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I see them pull out Lotus garb and the masks and shit. I'm like, oh my God, this is about to fucking happen. He's like, get photos, get photos. I'm taking photos of that shit. And then I get them all posed up, get photos. They go back out. They do Lotus. I get more photos there. A lot of the photos that you saw that I took from that ended up on T-shirts and stuff like that. So that was really, really awesome from that standpoint. Another show would have to be, I done an Ozfest. I can't remember what year it was, but I didn't get to meet Ozzy, but Ozzy like walked by and I had a camera.
Close enough.
Yeah, he walked by me and I was like, hey man, I'm taking photos tonight. I can't, it's really, and he's like, oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. And he shook my hand and shit. And then, just a quick, exchange, but it was fucking Ozzy. So that was pretty fucking cool. So, and then, probably the fairground show where I think it was Juicy J and Project Pat. That was my first time talking with them, and they loved the photos that I done. And then when we had Project Pat out here just recently for one of our community shows, him and his people remembered me. They was like, oh man, you're the one. And he pulled up his Instagram. He was like, you're the one that took that one. I'm like, yep, that's me. That's me. And had a really good time talking with him as well. So, I've gone to so many shows, man. It's kind of hard to remember a lot of it, but yeah, those are the three that stick out the most right now.
Let's go ahead and do the opposite, and it doesn't have to be a certain number. What are some nightmare shows that you've been to? Because just as many good ones, I'm sure there's probably some bad ones in there as well.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, all right. Here's one that I think his name was Little Xan. He's one of those little rappers that got tattoos all over his face. His people hit me up, was wanting me to come out and do photos for him when he was here in town. And I really didn't know who he was. I looked him up and I'm like, oh, it's this guy. All right, cool. Fuck it. Why not? I go to the venue, tell them who I am. They're like, hey, we don't have anything here for you. I'm like, I've got an email that says different, so can you check again? They checked again. They're like, no, we ain't got nothing here for you. And I got the email. I'm hitting the person back on the email, and I'm showing them the email, and they're like, yeah, we see it, but we just don't have anything here for you. And then finally the tour manager came up, and he was like, yeah, you, we don't need any local photography. Thanks, man. And then just kind of left it at that. So I'm like, well, fuck. I just went home. Fuck it. That was lame. Wasting my time, but whatever. A couple days later, TMZ's reporting that he was downtown at Circle Center Mall, Indianapolis, running his mouth to people, calling them poorer, saying I'm rich and fuck all you and this, that, and the other. And a bunch of people was trying to beat his ass. So I'm thinking that's what it was, is, local photographer. Nah, this guy's already got enough heat on him right now as it is. We don't need nobody outside coming in, because of course they don't really know me. I could be friends with the people he was running his mouth to downtown and could have got. But yeah, that I kind of thought that was strange. I didn't understand it at first, but then after I saw that TMZ clip and the way he was acting down there versus not wanting any extra people around here, I kind of understood it after that. There was another event I went to that was pretty, it was, what's her name? Danielle Bregoli, the Bad Barbie chick, the Catch Me Outside. How about that? That chick. They hit me up. Can you do photos for us? Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'll fucking do it. Why not? I'll go watch this train wreck. So I show up to them. Now, I've been to the Emerson a million times, seen ICP, Twisted, everybody play there. When I showed up to the Emerson, this little girl had a line from the door wrapped around the entire block. I was blown the fuck away. I go in there. I get myself set up to take photos. I look at the crowd, and it's nothing but like 13, 14-year-old girls. Like, the whole, and like one dad just really like shitty because I'm taking photos of the crowd and he's like, fuck, he's taking photos and he's just so pissed, but he's there with his daughter to make sure no bullshit happens. So respect to him, but he's the only like dude just pissed because all these other like tweens are about to go nuts. And bro, I've seen Slayer live. I've seen some of the loudest fucking bands you can. The sound of a room full of 14, 13-year-old girls screaming at the same time is ear shattering compared. Like, it was just wild to see this shit. All these other groups performed before she did. Don't know who they are. Took some photos of them. She comes out. She does her thing. These people are going nuts over it. Fucking nuts. It's insane. Take the photos. Usually when an artist comes through that venue, I go to the back, thank them for coming through, doing what they do. Thanks for coming to my town type thing. Go to do the same for her. You know, hey, thanks for coming through. Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I go through the back door. As soon as I go out the back door, she's already in a car, beating feet, just taking the fuck off. She was literally on stage, right into a car, took the fuck off. Apparently, the reason why she performed there was because she wasn't 18 yet, and she couldn't hit any of the clubs downtown or anything, so she had to go to the all-ages spot over at the Emerson. That was probably the only reason she was there. So, yeah, it was pretty nuts to see that one. And then I was up front with the hostess. We was just talking, and this viral video kind of went wild here in Indianapolis. It was two ladies fighting in a Walmart, and like a little kid was involved. It was popular there for like, 15 minutes. The lady that was one of the ladies that was in that video, that viral video, was up front trying to get free tickets and VIP to meet this chick. She's like, oh, I'm a viral sensation too, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just blown away that this bitch that has a getting beat up at Walmart video with her kid is trying to flex that and use that as like, hey, let me get backstage. We're both, viral sensations. She handled it. I just stood off to the side and was just like, wow, this is fucking insane.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Well, as we wind down here, I know you said you got some goals for 2024, but what are some dream concerts that you would like to take part of that you haven't had a chance to be associated with?
Right off the bat, Breaking Benjamin. They are one of my favorite bands. I've had opportunities to shoot for them in the past, but things just haven't worked out. I was sick or something went down that I wasn't available. But they're definitely up there high on my list. Like if they come through, I'd love to take photos for them guys. And then actually pushing into sports photography. I'd like to start touching in on that. I'm going to start 2024. I'm going to start reaching out to, a few outlets and just pretty much hand them my resume and what I'd like to do. And if you guys need any help taking care of this, I'd be more than willing to, try something out. I just want to get into sports photography because I feel like I've done everything I've wanted to do photography wise within music. I've gotten to meet a lot of my idols and, I love Twisted to death, love them to death. Like, how many times can I take photos of Twisted? You know what I mean? Like, I got a catalog already just packed full of their photos. So I kind of want to move on to something different, but also still provide the underground, the images. That's why I got Shane, working with me now. He's kind of like a little understudy of mine. Like, I'm getting him on a camera, showing him how, and he's doing great already. Just right from the I think he's done 2 shows, maybe 3 already. Every time he's done, he's pulled in great photos. So I'm hoping to have him take over more of, for the music. And then hopefully that'll lead me to, venture off into other things that I'd like to check out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of your work, even though, you are my homie. I don't say stuff like that unless I mean it. I think Joe Black's old lady says something a couple days after Aximus that you ever notice after a show, all you're doing is refreshing the In the Pit Facebook page looking for the picture. And it's funny that she said that because for the 2 days afterwards, I was refreshing the page because it's just, I love your work, man, and what you guys do. And,
Thank you.
and the style is it's great. It's one of my favorite. I used to love, when you would come and take shots in Dayton because I knew I was going to get some top tier photos of Menace to Sobriety and meet myself as well. And again, top corner of your screen right over here. I guess it would be on this side.
Man, and
that
that
is him.
photo, man, I was so far away from you when I took that photo. I had to like really zoom in on you, and I'm surprised it came out as good as it did. We
Yeah,
need
for
to get
sure.
together
It's
and
one of
get
my
like a good
favorite
photo
pictures.
shoot going for you guys.
I know, but see, that's the problem is that whenever I'm around you now, since I'm not just the performer, like I'm now the worker for Long Live Evil, like
Mm-hmm.
we're crossing. Like so it's impossible for that to happen. So but hey, it is what it is, because I just got the one and that's all I needed. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you for the next couple minutes. Go ahead and drop any socials, whatever it is you want to for people to follow you. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you can follow me at In the Pit Photography across all social medias, Facebook, Twitter. No, I'm banned on Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We also got Tales from the Pit, which is kind of like an interview thing that we do as well. We've got 4 episodes you can go and look back on. We got other episodes that we plan on kicking up for 2024. But yeah, that's about it, bub.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me today, my bro. I appreciate it and keep up the good work.
Thank you for having me, man. Best of luck to you and your show.